is Daily Blast Live. We're talking about what you're talking about.
You all ready for this?
This is a sham.
No.
Nope.
Y'all, just stop.
Get real.
Welcome to DBL. Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Friday. We made it. We made it.
Okay.
Friday.
Hey, well, I guess we almost made it.
Friday.
Too bad we're not getting an extension on our contract.
Friday.
They're just gonna play that clip and we'll just, without words, just stand
Walk
and
it.
leave.
Yeah, the boss is gonna come in and be like, here's what's happening.
Yeah.
Any questions?
You all
No.
need to leave.
Just
I
the
guess-
text from us, we get it.
Here's some applications to UPS.
Everyone looking good. I hope you all are feeling well and that you are excited for the weekend. Welcome again. Has this ever happened to you? You're out at a restaurant to enjoy a nice meal, only to have a nearby table full of children or kids interrupt your evening. Well, turns out this is happening more and more. And it's not just at restaurants. Parents are now bringing their toddlers to movies, to bars, to concerts, even tattoo parlors. That's according to the Wall Street Journal. I'm glad they are aware of what's going on. They also report there's been an 8% jump in Yelp searches for places that are, quote, good for kids. So, what do we think of this growing trend, and why are modern parents bringing in their kids with them pretty much absolutely everywhere they go these days? I'm going to go to the parents first here. Jeff, Al, do you guys feel that? Is that what you're doing? You're nodding a little?
I think if you're out at like an outdoor space, a beer garden, during the day,
Okay.
it's perfectly acceptable.
A-okay?
Perfectly acceptable. I'm very cognizant and aware of where I bring my kids and what time I bring them.
Yeah.
We don't stay anywhere past 6, right? If we go out to a nicer place, and I wouldn't even say nicer, we don't go to nice dinners. I'm saying a place that doesn't give you crayons, you know? And
Oh, the high end.
to be perfectly honest, a place that I'm thinking of does give us crayons.
like-
So yeah, but we go at 4 o'clock.
Just say
That's my whole
Outback.
point.
Just say Chili's, yeah.
Yeah. Hey, I love those places.
Me too.
But I'm cognitive of it.
I got
yes.
it.
See, this is the issue, is exactly, so there's been a shift. Jeff is right, and as a person who does not have children, it is completely reasonable to think that a family who has children would be out any place
Right.
at 4 o'clock. The issue is people like myself, during COVID, who don't have kids, we switched our patterns. We stopped going out for dinner at 8 o'clock because we were going to go out for drinks at 10:30 and started going to dinner at 5 o'clock. I have a few friends who are restaurateurs like all over the country, and anytime
I
I'm
do
like in
too.
town,
I do too.
but I'm saying like because they're like, you know, it's not just basic or germane to one area.
Right,
it's like
right.
New York, LA, Chicago, Denver, everyone's seeing the same thing. It's like, can you please come? If you're gonna come, can you come after 8 o'clock? And I'm like, 8 o'clock? I should be in bed by 8 o'clock. Can I come at 5:30? And they're like, y'all are messing up the balance. It's the people without
Really?
kids who are going out earlier ever since lockdown.
So it's the people without kids that's the issue.
Yes, it's
Interesting.
us.
It's us.
So
Al,
I can't be mad at 5 o'clock if there's kids running around any restaurant. That's family time.
When it starts
I
getting
argue
packed
with
around
that.
5:30, I'm like, we got to go.
So you're there
Yeah.
at like 4.
Oh yeah, definitely. 4.
But there's also, and we've all been out enough to know that there's an unsaid shift.
Yes.
In whatever bar or place you're in, you know, like where it goes from like happy hour to kind of like some bus boys move some chairs, and now there's kind of a dance floor. When you feel the shift, it's time for the people with kids to leave. But I will say this is like, Tori, where's most of your family?
DC.
Erica?
Chicago.
Same.
Same. Mine is all over South Carolina. People's family aren't in town. I think if this is the 1950s, you leave your kids with your, you know, like the equivalent of my Aunt Valerie, and then you and Jordan would go out. But now you don't have anybody. You don't have that structure, so you're like, I guess we're all going to dinner.
Right.
I guess the kids are coming on me and Jordan's, you know, 10th anniversary
Yeah.
date. You know, and I think it's a big difference in just the way people fundamentally live, where you don't necessarily live in the city that most of your family is.
A, that's a fantastic point. B, I'm going to add to yours. The average hourly rate for a babysitter on care.com is up 44% since 2019. 44%. So rates have jumped from around $16.25 to $23.35 per hour. And finding a babysitter is also becoming extremely difficult because everyone's got a side gig and they're all booked up. So, and parents are having kids late. So all of this leads into this. And I also want to talk about this, another modern parenting story. This mom says she's faced all sorts of criticism for flying business class while she makes her 16-year-old daughter fly in coach. She says she does it because her daughter can enjoy the perks without her having to shell out hundreds of dollars for an upgrade. What do we think about this? My mother took me to Rome with my boyfriend at the time for my dad's 60th. They sat in first class. We sat in the back of the plane, and she walked back and just laughed at us and walked straight back up to first
That's
class.
what she said.
You were lucky to be there
That's
with
right.
your
She
boyfriend.
bought your boyfriend a ticket?
Exactly. Yes. And so she looked and goes, "How's the meal?" "Oh, really? I'll be back." And just was like, "Hi, poor people." Like, so mean.
I love your
and
mom.
I didn't expect anything more than that.
Well, and you shouldn't have expected
Exactly.
anything more than
Right.
that. She's on the plane, isn't she?
Yes.
She's not on the Greyhound. What do you mean she's faced all sorts of criticism? Who is criticizing you? And are they also going to pay for your child's upgrade? Like, it is a privilege to be able to travel and fly.
Anywhere.
You are in a privileged position if your parents are able to buy you a ticket with them anywhere. The girl is 16. You know what happens when you start flying your children out on business and first class when they're like 15, 16 years
I know
old?
those people.
They're looking for private jets when they're 21. There's no place else to go.
That's right.
So why is she having this conversation?
Okay, because some people are saying, let me give you the pushback. I don't agree with it, but they're saying, okay, she can afford one business class ticket. Why not shell one out for her daughter?
Why would you do that?
Because that's what some people are saying.
Let me just spice things up for the sake of
Okay.
conversation on a
Little
Friday.
paprika.
Okay, so I'm flying with my son. I have 2 sons, but whatever. Just hypothetical, right? And your kid, hypothetical, is sitting next to us, right? But you put yourself in first class. Now the plane starts getting really bumpy, and chances are it's going down. Now you want to come back and you want to talk to your kid. You take your butt up to first class because I'm going down with my kid. You're going down as a rich old lady by yourself.
Well, that's fine. I'm pretty sure my kid and I could fit in the same seat. So
No,
we'll go, yes.
you have to stay in your seat, seatbelts buckled.
Yeah, no, well, right.
All right, that's
All
mean.
rules are
All
out the
rules.
door.
That is mean, but this is meaner. Some parents are also taking part in a new TikTok challenge. It's called the Egg Crack Challenge. Everybody, take a look.
What the hell? Ow! That hurt. 2, 3. Hey! That wasn't very nice. Ow!
This is assault.
I like it.
Salt and eggs. They should put us. Okay, some kids, she goes, keep going. Some kids are not just cracked up for it, like this one.
It's okay when your hands get dirty. We will wash them.
Okay, you ready?
Alina, over here, baby.
That's how you do it.
I mean, what the heck? Do you think this is cruel or is it funny? I'm going to go to the comedian on this. I think this is just straight up assault.
I find, first of all, this falls under that banner of cute things where it can go left really quickly. Same with pillow fights when
Jumping
somebody
on
hits
the
you with
bed.
the zipper, and somebody with a pie in the face where like it's supposed to be funny, but like you can get the bottom of that pie pan and the brunt of don't hit me in the face. I don't want anything coming at my face.
Right.
So it's not funny that
Thank you.
adorable little girl was
Exactly.
assaulted.
I agree.
Yes.
You are you're their world. And all of a sudden, like they're trying to figure out the world, and all of a sudden the person is designed to shepherd them through this world, smashes them in the face with a cooking item.
I like it.
You do,
Jeff,
Jeff?
talk to
Yeah,
me.
I like it.
Tell
I
me
just think
why.
it's funny. Here's what I don't like about it. Because when you do that, they're going to want to do that to you or their
Or
brother
another
or something.
right.
And then there's egg everywhere. I don't like that. But I'm down for a good prank. I scare my kids all the time, like to the point where they cry and I feel bad. But I like when they're being bad, I'm like, Lawson, tell Leighton to come over here because he won't shut up. And I like hide behind the stairs and I jump out and he starts crying. I'm like, well, now I told you settle down.
I do like Jeff's whole thing was like, it's funny when I do it, but when they do it, it's time
wrong.
to stop it.
Yeah, if I have to clean it up, it's not fun.
Oh man, coming up on DBL, our interview with Mayim Bialik. She's telling us all about her struggles of fame and how it had affected her mental health. And Britney's ex Sam breaks his silence on the divorce as new cheating rumors surface. Did she really have an affair with one of her staff members? Things are getting toxic. My mom watched it and she goes, "That was dumb that you said The Blind Side."
I was just about
She
to
said
congratulate you. I was about to congratulate you.
Mom's been in a hospital for
couldn't
40
resist.
days. She's almost in a coma, and she's like, Jeff was right on that one.
Like every headline has either it's toxic divorce or oops, she did it again.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
Okay.
When something's played out, it's
How many
no
times
good.
has Britney been married now?
Three.
Oh,
How many marriages?
3. Remember she married that one photographer from
But
like,
she had like a 10
Okay.
a Vegas marriage that was annulled.
right.
what was that guy's name?
Got it.
His name was someone else's name.
He got some stalking charges, right? Yeah.
Yeah, he got
Thank
some
you.
shit.
He
Yeah.
showed up at her wedding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
And he hopped the wall or something.
Recently, he was back in the news.
Are you
Yeah,
talking,
oh.
who are you guys talking about? Brittany's ex?
Brittany's like she was married to some guy for like a
24
week.
hours or something?
Alexander.
Oh, is that his
Jason
name?
Alexander.
Oh, George
I knew he
Costanza?
had a name that was someone else's name. Yeah.
Costanza.
Jason Alexander. Yeah.
I'm watching Seinfeld again, and we just watched the one where Elaine goes
Yeah.
to the video store, and she only likes Vincent's pics. She's like, Vincent is beautiful, and then Jean's pics, she's like, Jean's trash. And this guy goes,
Look at
I'm
Al
Jean.
trying to pretend like he knows what you're talking about.
No, I've never seen Seinfeld, famously.
But that was a good setup.
That was a good setup. That was actually.
Jean's trash.
I just
I'm
rewatch
Jean.
Veep all the time.
Veep is so, that line is always
Veep
so.
is just on my replay. What else do we rewatch?
I rewatched Parks and Rec, and there's one scene in which is famous, in which they're on an ice skating rink, and the sound goes, get on your feet, but no one can because it's slipping.
Yeah.
So for 2 minutes, it's just get on your feet, and they're all
I've never
like,
watched Parks and Rec.
oh,
People
Jeff,
love
like
it.
it.
How about that? What's it on? How do I watch
It was
it?
on NBC, so
Probably
it's on
Peacock.
Peacock, I think.
Oh, really?
But there's one time where they go, Leslie, and she wraps the whole. What an artist, Rob. What an artist you are. Welcome back to DBL. Sam Asghari has some things to say about his divorce from Britney Spears. In a statement on Instagram, Sam said, quote, "We will hold on to the love and respect we have for each other, and I wish her the best always. Bleep happens." Okay. Meantime, TMZ says according to their prenup, Sam isn't entitled to spousal support at all. He can keep the gifts Britney gave him and his cars, but that's about it. But TMZ is also reporting that Britney gave Sam a black eye while he was sleeping. It also claims Britney cheated on him with a staff member at her house, and there may be video to prove it. Just so you know, all divorces in California are 50-50 no-fault divorces unless there's an infidelity clause within your prenup. We don't know at the time yet if there was one. They also said, TMZ, that she asked at least one staffer to shoot video of her naked.
Yeah, I don't think we need to even talk about prenups and contracts, because if there's a video, I think that the price of that not coming out would be more than what any prenup would be. I'm assuming she does have a fully secured home outside and inside, and sometimes you forget the cameras are there.
I don't know. We talk about
we should go to the next
Britney
topic.
all the time. No, we talk about.
It's.
I get what you're saying, because
Yeah.
prenups are contracts don't matter if you have dirt on the other person, and that's kind of what I want to get to. I heard statements that Sam didn't say those statements that we said yesterday, that he didn't have dirt on her. He wasn't going to use that, and I think people blindly take Britney's back for absolutely no reason. This man might have been assaulted, right? He might have got cheated on. And it's not a good relationship for her. And everyone's like, what a money grab. This guy's with her. Well, if you're in any relationship like that, you're going to leave. It doesn't have to do with Britney Spears. It's someone else. And all we got from her is, I'm buying a new horse. Yeah. It's like, do you blame this guy? He's probably seen things. Like, he thinks the media is like, we're portraying her in some sort of a bad light. Imagine what he's seeing behind the scenes after she's done spinning around. Mm-hmm. Like, what does he see?
Erica, what do you think?
I would be talking about the horse too.
Why?
Because why would I talk about something that has nothing to do with any of y'all? Like
divorce?
Yeah. Why? If I were Britney, I'd be talking about my horse. I'd be talking about the next thing that I have coming.
You would defend yourself and be like, I didn't punch him.
Why? Jeff, you know me. My entire life, all I want to do is make sure that I just want to be in a position where I don't have to explain anything to anybody.
But if you're a
She's in that position. Why would Britney Spears come out, someone who has been talked about, whether it's good, bad, right, wrong, or indifferent, most of her life is going to come out and be like, yes, I'm getting a divorce and this is what happened, let me defend myself? I think it's best that I think I would be on the I'm buying a horse train, because bleep y'all.
I don't know about
I don't care.
that.
I don't care. I'm sorry. When you are in a situation, especially when you are the person of means, and okay, stuff does happen. Her ex is saying, soon-to-be ex is saying, something happened, we're moving on in love. Great. You leave him better than you found him. That's it. The story's over.
But I don't think he is better off. Better found, or whatever
Jeff,
you said.
there is a way to make
worse.
everybody better than you found. You don't leave someone worse than you found them.
But no matter, listen, let me
You
tell
don't know what that means, though.
You're exactly right, I don't. The scrutiny that he's facing, when I don't know if he did anything or not, is worse than his life as someone who nobody knows who he is. He's forever Britney Spears' ex, who did Britney bad because she's got a gang of followers that'll tarnish his name no matter what happened.
And that was a risk he was willing to take. So now it's up to them to come up with something that he feels makes him whole, and she can talk about her horse.
All right, let's find out more about this. Let us know what you think. We'll be right back. Interesting.
As hospitalizations from COVID-19 tick up this summer, people are looking for ways to treat it if they do test positive. Since the start of the pandemic, there's been chatter that anti-parasitic drug ivermectin could be used to treat the virus. Celebrities and influencers claiming the drug made them feel better quicker. However, recently Wisconsin Senator Ron Johnson claimed the Food and Drug Administration quietly approved the use of ivermectin to treat COVID-19. So, is that true? Let's verify. Our sources are the Food and Drug Administration, the National Institutes of Health, and a lawsuit against federal health agencies that was brought forward by a group of doctors. The Food and Drug Administration maintains a list of FDA-approved COVID-19 therapeutic treatments on its website. There are 4 drugs on that list. Ivermectin isn't one of them. The list was last updated in May, so for good measure, we reached out to the FDA to see if maybe ivermectin was recently added. An FDA spokesperson told us it wasn't. So we can verify that the FDA did not approve the use of ivermectin to treat COVID-19. According to the National Institutes of Health, ivermectin is only FDA approved for humans to treat infections caused by some parasitic worms and head lice, and skin conditions like rosacea. So where'd the false claim come from? It appears to be a misinterpretation of a recent article published on the Epoch Times about a lawsuit filed against federal health agencies, including the FDA, by a group of doctors who prescribed ivermectin to COVID patients. The Epoch Times reported that during a hearing for the case, a lawyer representing the FDA said the FDA explicitly recognizes that doctors do have the authority to prescribe ivermectin to treat COVID. But according to court documents, the FDA's lawyer never said ivermectin is approved to treat COVID, nor did they say that doctors should be prescribing it for that purpose. They just acknowledged the doctor's rights to prescribe medicines off-label. With your Verify, I'm Ariante Till.
Welcome back. Talking about your mental health struggles can feel daunting and isolating. That's why Mayim Bialik started a podcast to open up the conversation around it. And earlier we chatted with her all about it. Check it out.
Please welcome back to the show, Mayim Bialik.
Hey there. Man, do I love you. Your podcast, Mayim Bialik's Breakdown, breaks the stigma around talking about mental health and other situations. I wanted to ask you, because I did you struggle in silence before having this platform? And you've had this platform for a long time.
Yeah, no. I mean, look, I think for those of us who grow up in unusual situations, whatever that looks like, for those of us who, learn about terms like intergenerational trauma or,
Yeah.
For those of us who, might be super feelers. Like we feel things differently or more intensely. For many of us, I laughed because like I've never do anything in silence, but I will say that in this arena, I definitely had an experience of a lot of years of like, why am I experiencing things differently? Why do I feel so deeply? Why does everything feel like it hurts more than it should? So it was really kind of, once I got into therapy and, kind of spent a lot of my 20s, I was out of the limelight, which I think was a good place for me to do that exploring. But, being back in the limelight and being a mom, like all these things I think kept sort of cumulatively adding up. And it was really at the start of COVID that my partner, Jonathan Cohen, and I decided to start a podcast. I had never thought of starting a podcast, but I felt like, gosh, my mental health sure took an extra special dive with all of that anxiety and fear and uncertainty at the start of COVID. And that's why we started My MBLX Breakdown.
Yeah, I think it's super important because a lot of people have these stigmas like they don't want to talk about it. So thanks for talking about it. And your podcast also breaks down myths and misconceptions around mental health. What is the most common misunderstanding, would you say?
I think everyone has different things that will resonate with them. But one thing I think that I often hear is like, I can figure it out on my own. I think there are a lot of limitations historically. I think there are a lot of systemic reasons in the system that people do not believe that they can get help. And one of the things that we talk about a lot is, access to mental health is a human right. It should have nothing to do with the color of your skin, the amount of money in your bank account, what kind of insurance you have, if you have insurance. So that was sort of our notion, is like, we believe that people having a general vocabulary for what mental health is, meaning what's the difference between anxiety and panic?
Yeah.
Or what is depression? When do you need help? But the general notion that we should be able to figure things out on our own, or that, it's yucky to talk to other people about your dirty laundry, those are very old cultural things that are in place so that we don't kind of rock the boat. And I think especially for women, for underserved populations, those messages are really, really loud. And so really one of the main things we wanted to do was just put it all out there. We have, celebrities on who are willing to talk about their mental health challenges, and we have specialists who have dedicated their lives, to exploring these things and making it accessible. Because like I said, it's a human right to know what your mental health challenges are and how to make them better, often without expensive interventions. It's just, we've only been told, like, you need an expensive psychiatrist or you need medication, and that's not the only two options.
Yeah, I appreciate you acknowledging the barrier of entry is vast when it comes to the accessibility of mental health help. And I want to talk about this really quickly. We have about 30 seconds. On one episode, you said that at times you feel useless, irrelevant, and worthless. How has fame brought some of those feelings on?
Oh my gosh, great question. I'll try and answer as quickly as I can. We do episodes called Ask My Anything on My MBLX Breakdown. And so this is one of the questions, like, I feel really useless. Do you know what this feels like? And people were really surprised that my answer was yes. I think that, feeling imposter syndrome, feeling less than, always feeling competitive with yourself, even if no one else is telling you to be. Those are features of a personality that have nothing to do with how many Emmys you've been nominated for, or how famous you are, or how much money you have, or how pretty other people tell you are, or how amazing people tell you are. That's, I think, a really perfect example of the depth and complexity of our internal world, our psychological makeup, and who we are, where we come from, has really very little to do with the things that our culture may decide are valuable.
Ooh, wow, so true. So true. Mayim, thank you so much for joining us today. DBL Nation, you can listen to Mayim's podcast, My MBLX Breakdown, wherever you get your podcasts. Thanks again. We appreciate you. Good to see you.
Thank you.
We'll be right back.
Nice to see you.
Bye.
Summertime is not only a great time for kids to sleep in, but also parents if they can. Even though it's nice to catch up on those extra Z's, is it better to get your kids back into the school wake-up schedule before school starts? Let's verify. Our sources, the American Academy of Sleep Medicine, Dr. Brian Chen, sleep specialist for the Cleveland Clinic, and Dr. John White, chief medical officer for WebMD. Soon, those alarm clocks will be ringing for school children. And Dr. Chen says the sooner you turn them back earlier, the easier the transition.
So it's important to start that transition early so that there's not a big jump whenever you get back to going to school, and there's not going to be that whiplash where you're kind of real tired.
Dr. White agrees and suggests kids go to bed 15 minutes earlier every day or every other day to make the adjustment.
Wake up time, shifting that 15 minutes earlier as well, every couple of days. And that includes on the weekends.
The American Academy of Sleep Medicine says preschoolers require 10 to 13 hours of sleep. Kids ages 6 to 12 require 9 to 12 hours of sleep, and teens require 8 to 10 hours of sleep. Dr. White says if you don't gradually adjust the kids' wake-up schedule, that first day of school will be a shock to their system.
Kids aren't going to be able to wake up on time. You're going to be rushed and hectic in the morning, and nobody wants that. And then they may have trouble concentrating that first week or two in class.
So we can verify that, yes, it is better to get your kids back into the school wake-up schedule before school starts. That way they are set up for success in getting adequate sleep when it counts. With your Verify, I'm Megan Bragg.
Donald Trump's indictment in Georgia means he now has to turn himself in to local authorities for booking. The last 3 times he was indicted, the authorities didn't take mugshots. Now, the sheriff in Fulton County says this time will be different.
We are following our normal practices. And so it doesn't matter your status, we have mugshots ready for you.
But does Georgia state law require a mugshot be taken? Let's verify. Our sources are the Georgia State Code and the Fulton County Sheriff's Office. Title 35, Chapter 3 of the Georgia State Code says that for all felonies and some misdemeanors, law enforcement shall obtain full face and profile photographs of the person under arrest. There are 2 exceptions to that requirement. 1, if the arresting authorities don't have a camera available, and 2, if full face and profile pictures taken within the year are already on file. This requirement isn't the case everywhere. For instance, New York State, where Trump's first indictment took place, doesn't mandate mugshots. And while arresting authorities in Trump's 2 federal indictments haven't publicly said why they didn't take mugshots, they may have simply been deemed unnecessary, given there are plenty of photos of Trump on file. But we can verify in Georgia, the law calls for mugshots to be taken. And the sheriff's office says their current plan is to follow that protocol for Trump and his associates. But the mugshot has not yet been taken. So if you've already seen pictures like this one online, they're fake, likely made with AI. With your Verify, I'm Casey Decker.
We love sharing your comments. Emma says many don't seem to care that their kids might be bothering other diners, just something I've noticed as a server. And Jennifer says, I hate kids screaming in movies that are made for adults.
Do you know me and Erica have not stopped bickering about Britney Spears since we were talking?
I'm going to let him discussion.
It's interesting.
I'm out.
Yeah.
It's Friday. Bye, guys.
Oh, no credits?